Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time in Danette's Kitchen, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I just wanted to talk about a few things to get people kind of up to speed and remind other people about the importance of preparedness, which I know I've been saying this for years. Seems like I'm always saying a lot of the same thing because of my own personal experiences and my own story, which I can share with you about when I first moved to my town, and there was a storm. There was a storm when I was moving to town. There was a storm when I was moving to a new city that knocked the power out. Power was out for a week. Wasn't able to get any food. Everything was shut down for several blocks. Every grocery store, gas station, it was just a blackout for a week, about a week, in a city that I had never lived in before at that point, which that's kind of what helped encourage me to get into prepping because food that you have in the refrigerator is not going to last very long. I don't care even if you keep the door closed. Eventually, those temperatures are going to drop down, and you're going to have all kinds of microbes and things growing in that food, and that's going to end up being a problem. So I started, my mom sent me a dehydrator, and it was like the best thing ever for me. Um, Granted, this was about 30 years ago, somewhere around 30 or 25 years ago, she sent me a food dehydrator. And that's when I started dehydrating food. Before, I was just doing a lot of canning, but when you're doing canning of foods, putting them in the mason jars and sealing it, that's a good process too, and it's a way to have some liquid already in the food so that you can just pour it and eat it, or pour it and heat it up if you have, you know, a means to when the power is out. Um, but I like the dehydrated food even more, even though I still do some canning. I do like the dehydrated food because then it can last even longer, and I can put a few dehydrated beets into a sandwich bag and take it to work and eat it over lunch break like potato chips. But they're much healthier than potato chips. Beets are really good for helping lower your blood pressure. By the way, nothing that I say in any of my videos should be considered legal or medical advice. I'm just talking from my personal experience and the things that I've learned through going through disasters and difficult times, the things that I learned about preparedness and why to prepare and how to prepare, and how my overall health has improved and changed through um, through that time as well. Because at one point I was in pretty bad shape, and my blood pressure was like through the roof, like ready to be hospitalized through the roof. Um, and I had heart attack after heart attack and had lots of things going on. And I had to learn how to change my eating and the way I eat and the way I even looked at food to not be an emotional eater because I'm still a foodie. I still do like to eat, and I like to be able to enjoy the flavor of my foods. Sorry about that, shaking the camera. But I had to learn the proper way to eat, proper things to eat, things that were good for my body. Some people can just sprinkle salt all day like it's a heavy snowfall, and they have no problem with that. But for me, can't do that. So those are some of the things and some of the reasons why I do what I do and why I'm here. And I'm also here because I started the channel after a friend had passed, and they were a cooking instructor, and I initially was just planning on doing one video, but here we are, I think over 300 videos later, several years later, and I'm still here because I really believe in what I'm saying. So I hope that you get something good out of this. And if you do, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. If you want to leave a comment in the comment section below. But anyway, that period of time happened with the storm, the straight line winds. Wasn't a tornado. They called it straight line winds. Knocked down a tree. The tree hit the power line and boomeranged the other way, knocked a hole in my neighbor's roof, knocked everyone's power out. And all I had to eat was some donuts. I mean, the food that I had in the refrigerator didn't last very long. And since I had a gas stove with an electric ignition, I couldn't figure out how to get it to work because I'm turning it, and nothing is happening. It was not going click, 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 click. So I eventually learned to modify and do some other things, but we could talk about that in another video. But the reason I'm here tonight is a few days ago, there was another power outage in a very close vicinity to where I live. And if you saw my previous videos, my more recent ones, there was a power outage in that same area, like a mile away from where I live right now, a week ago. So some transformer went out or whatever. But when it happened the other day, someone sent me a text message. The power's out. Do you have power where you live? It's like, yeah, I'm fine over here. Then another person and another person and another person. And I hate to put you on blast, but some of these people, most of them, are people that have watched my channel and they've heard me talk about the preparedness and what they need to in case the power does go out. Because having power go out for a week really did suck. And all I had was 2 or 3 emergency candles, and that doesn't, I'm sorry, that just doesn't last very long. So it keeps happening. We don't know why it's happening. We don't know when it's going to happen. I did one video a month or two ago about there being a brownout, which I don't know if you know what a brownout is, where you might be just hanging around your home and all of a sudden the lights go, where they dim down and they come back up like, oh, something's about to happen. That's why I like to be prepared and I like to have things put in certain places and keep them in those places so that I can know where things are if the power were to go out. For example, some of the basic things that we know, if you don't have any light, you should at least be able to have a candle. And this is a candle that's inside a glass container that has a heavy enough base that I can set it on the table and light it, and it's not just going to blow over or get knocked over. Although I like candles that come in the candlestick holders and I do like having emergency candles, the reality is that with emergency candles, that wax will run down the side of that candle and burn your hand, especially if you don't have a candlestick holder. These, you're pretty well, it's a lot safer. If you have a lantern that holds a candle, I have a couple of those too. Those are nice because you can light that tall thick votive candle, close the door on that joker, set it on the table or wherever, and it's going to be there and it's going to be fine. And even if you were to open the window and the wind's blowing or whatever, it's not going to blow the light out because you've got that protection around the sides of it. Those are some good things to have. There's also flashlights, all kinds of different flashlights. Maglite Mini, this is my favorite. I've had this for over 20 years. I started using it when I used to work a security job. I like it because the light can pan out pretty wide or it can be redefined all the way into a little point. And it's easy enough that you can slip in your pocket or you can get the cute little holster that you can put on your belt. I like it. I've had it a long time and I will probably continue to carry it. I've heard that the O-Light is a really good one. If you ever watch any of the other preparedness channels, um, they talk about the O-Light. O-Light is a good tactical flashlight, especially people that have been in military say that that's a really good brand to use. But I haven't tried the old light. Sure would love to. Somebody want to send me one? I'll give it a try and give it a review. But for me, Maglite Mini is always good. Some people like the big Maglite, the big security guard flashlight. Too big for me. I like to have stuff nice and convenient where I can slip it in my pocket. This one is just an ever ready flashlight. I won it playing a game at work. I spun the wheel of fabulous prizes, and this was one of the things on the table. So, yeah, I grabbed it. I had an option. I'm going to take what's going to work for me because I can stick it in my other pocket or I can stick it in my backpack. Now, I know some people are very opposed to using these. I was just watching Dimcad's channel, and the other day he was talking about how hard of a time he was having with this hand crank radio flashlight. His is a different brand of than what I have, but you crank it on the bottom, and then you can turn it on, and the light will work. So then the flashlight will work. It has an emergency beacon that will work on the side. You can see it blinking there. And it also has radio. And it also has where you can plug up your phone or computer or whatever and charge that stuff up on the side. I didn't get this brand new, even though I know they used to sell it at Radio Shack. I'm not sure where they sell it at now. I paid $2.95 for this at a thrift store. In fact, this thrift store was called Savers. So if you have a thrift store in your area, I mean, you can buy stuff brand new. I have nothing against that. But this actually works very well. And this was one of the things that I got after that nasty storm deal when I first moved here to Minnesota, and very happy to have it because I don't have to use any batteries with it. There are no batteries to recharge in this thing. It just is what it is. It's a good carry along because these, as nice as they are, if I'm out using it and they suddenly go dark, where are my batteries? Do I have extra batteries? Maybe I haven't checked my extra batteries recently enough and maybe they're not working. And if they're not working, then what am I going to do? Stand around in the dark and twiddle my thumbs? No. I go to my best backup, which is my hand crank radio flashlight. Another thing that's good to have if you're going to be caught in any kind of storm or if there is any kind of civil unrest or conflicts internationally, let's put it that way, um, is this is just another radio. Yes, I got it from the thrift store too. But it's a hand crank radio. I also do not need batteries for this one. I can set my station, pull up my antenna. It's just as old school as it can be. And of course, it cost me $2.95 as well. So this was a bonus. And I think at the time when I got these two things for less than $6, this was on sale at Radio Shack, I believe, for about $10 or $15. The price could have gone down now because it may not seem like a very popular thing to people, but I still like them both. And I know if you're someone that has problems with arthritis or difficulties with your hands, carpal tunnel or whatever, these options may be a better bet for you. So just choose what really works for you and make sure you have something. And make sure that you have the appropriate power to make that thing work, especially like if you get one of those cute lanterns that you pull it up and then the light comes on. Yeah, those are really nice. I've heard of those, but I don't have that myself. Um, some other things that you may need in the event of an emergency. I'm just running down my list a little bit. and share a little bit of information with you today. If you're a person that takes prescription medication, especially if you have medication that would need to be refrigerated, might be a good idea to get a little mini fridge, and it's just as cute as can be. It really is. I don't have medications that need to be refrigerated, but in my off time, I'm a clown for the farmer's market. And that grease paint, if it gets too hot in the summer, it's ruined. So I like to have a place to store my clown makeup. And so I can stick my clown makeup in here, plug this in and turn it on. And you might be saying, you plug it in and turn it on if the power's out. If the power is out, I'm going to use one of these two. And yes, they are like small and in lunch bag size packages. These are my portable power stations that I use. And yes, I have two of them. I live in what you would call multifamily housing. It's a condo, which is basically an apartment that you own. Um, so I am not in a house out somewhere, and I can't afford to. I don't have a place to put some large gas generator. And even if I did, I don't think I'd want to be dealing with dragging around some gas and dealing with the smell and the noise, because then everybody's like, oh, they got power there. Let's go there. These are small and durable. This is the Marlboro, and this is Dr. Prepare. They're very portable. 167 watt hours on this one, 200 watt hours on this one. This is the first one I got, and it's actually kind of my favorite. I really do like it. Um, you have a lot of options of places that you need to plug up as far as USB, USB-C, AC, and 12 volt. And you have your lights on the side, which do work in a variety of settings. This one, you have more power outlets here on this side. Um, much of the same, but you have USB output 1, 2, and 3, and you know 2-prong, 3-prong, and the light on the other side. But I will say that the light on this side of this has stopped working. So although I do like it for its power source, and it will run my equipment, like if I'm using like a nebulizer or CPAP machine, it will run it for about 7 hours. I'd be much happier if this light was still working. Um, got both of them on Amazon, and I'm not a paid promoter of anything here. I just share because I like keeping it real, and this is stuff that's helped me. And if I can help somebody else by sharing what I've learned and I've experienced through it, there you go. So the light stopped working on that one. Dr. Prepare still runs strong, runs 7 to 8 hours on it just for the CPAP machine. And so I have two. You might be asking why do I have two? Because number one, they were reasonably priced, and price makes a difference when you're working on a tight budget. Because, like I said, I don't have tons of land and cash in the bank or whatever. I'm just trying to make it day by day, week by week, month by month, and I have to get things that are going to work for me. And being able to keep one of these in the bedroom to be able to hook up to the CPAP machine or nebulizer or whatever, That would be what that would be used for. And if I really felt like I needed to get up and about and do other stuff during that time, I have a backup. Or even if I'm using the one and suppose the power's out for a whole week again, I can use the one night. The next day, I'll get up after the sun comes up for sure. And then I can use this that second night. But you might be saying, okay, so if the power's out for a week, that covers night number one, night number two. What then? Then, after I use the first one the first night, I'll put the second one in place to use that second night. The first one will come in my living room where I will take this top solar panel set that I have, put it in my living room window because it'll fit from side to side and I can charge up the other one. Let me move you back a little bit so I can open this and show you what I have. Because the morning sun rises in the east. My morning view is to the east. I see the sunrise every morning. So if the power goes out, I have to have a solution. And those little mighty powerhouses, as I like to call them, were a little over $100 each. You might be able to find them for $100 right now if you look on eBay or somewhere like that. If you're trying to get it at a more reasonable or cheaper price. But anyway, this is my top solar panel, and it's like magnetized. You see all that there? I can hook it up in my window, and the power can trickle down into the solar panels. I don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of extra stuff because when I was doing my research on all these things, I wanted to make sure I had something that was going to work with my two little portable power supplies that I have. And this top solar, does the output for DC and USB and USC, DC 19 volt and 14.4 volt. It has a stand. If I had a house or another situation where I could have it, outside, I could actually set it up so that it's propped up with the stand out in the yard. But I'm not in the house. I'm part of the Brownstone Association. There's all these little cute little pockets that hold everything. But it also has every possible adapter that you might need. Check that out. Everything that you might need, whatever you need to make this work with your portable power supply, it's on here. It's in here. I don't have to go out and buy anything extra. Look at that. I can do some major charging up. Got a cord. It's long enough too. I tried that out at my window. Not this window, the other window that's a little bit wider because it is as wide as this panel. These and even have this. So I'm covered. I have what I need. And what's so nice about it is that the price is right on this too. Because I'm not trying to go for broke. I can't afford to go for broke. I still got to pay for where I live. I got to pay for food, transportation. I don't have time for that. I got to take care of business. And so, although it would be nice if I could have all kinds of other fancy stuff like other folks, I just had to accept where I am and what I have. Two small carabiners to help hook this up if I were to like hook it to the top of the curtain rod over there so that it just hangs there. Get all that sunlight in, trickling down into the life of the battery. Oh, and I even have like a cigarette lighter charger, steel car charger. So everything fits in there. And close it up, zip it up, nice and smooth, and I can sit it on the side of my dresser so it's out of the way. Boom, easy. So that helps me to be able to keep my power going. Like I said, I charge one up, and then the have one on the charger, have the other one doing whatever it needs to do to plug into whatever little bit of power I need to keep things going. I'm not so concerned about the refrigerated food, even though if the power went out, I probably would try to eat some of that quickly, but I try not to keep a whole lot in the refrigerator. I keep more in the freezer, and then I have a deep freeze too. But if I were to lose out on all that stuff, I know I'm still okay because I have freeze dried fruit and dehydrated food, and that stuff goes a long way. But let's talk about civil unrest or worldwide conflict. Suppose you had to bug out, like when we had the incident here with George Floyd a couple of years ago, and all the trouble started happening right in the park outside my front door. I had to bug out because there was some major civil unrest and smoke and fires and tanks started coming down the street. So I had to bug out. But I had my bug out bag already prepared. I just had to grab a few outfits and throw them in the bag and throw the cat in the carrier and grab some cat food. In fact, I didn't even grab some cat food. Threw the cat in the carrier, and I have like a little thing of cat food here in my bug out bag, and we were out. So, regarding the bug out bag, one of the things, this flashlight goes back in there. Certain things that I always keep with me. An inhaler in there, because I do have asthma, even though it isn't really much of a problem most of the time. Socks, change of shirt. Always want to have some cleaned socks and shirt and undies wherever you go. I probably should throw a face mask in there because that was just at the beginning of the coronavirus and all that, and now we've learned so much more, so I probably will throw a mask or two in there. Dry cat food, which I do rotate it. I don't just leave it in there indefinitely because my cat would be mad at me if she had to eat it and was like, "What is this? How old is this food?" So yeah, that's one of the things that I keep in here. I have like small walkie-talkie sets that I can use with others that I know that are nearby that have the same type. Um, if you're outside and you're just on open land, it's good to know how far that radio signal will carry from one to another. And I got like a four-piece set. It's not like the major fancy stuff, but it's just so that I can keep in touch with people that are nearby that if I had a meetup place. So some other things that I carry. Some that you might consider a little silly, but hey, using an old empty prescription bottle to carry Wisey wipes. Wisey wipes are um, compressed toilet paper. It's in the size um, of a Tums or a nickel or whatever. Some people just dap it a little bit wet and it starts to expand, and then you pick at it and it opens up to a full piece of toilet paper. Or if you wet it a lot, it can be used like a wet wipe or whatever. And I just like to have them wherever I go because sometimes you find yourself in places and in situations where people might say they can't spare a square, and you might be in a stall without any. So it's good to just have and carry. It can be found in the camping section of most stores, like hardware stores and places like that. I got mine from, I think the first time I got them was at the camping section of Menards or Lowe's or something. And after that, when I got it, it was um, it was on Amazon. I get a lot of things on Amazon. So that's something that you might want to check out. And some people don't like them, but I don't get them with the idea in mind that I'm going to just be using it like regular toilet paper forever. This is an emergency stash. It's not something to replace your regular toiletry stuff. Uh, These are water purification tablets, but I try to save those as my little last ditch effort if I run out of other potential resources, because somewhere in here, if I can find it, I have this. This is the Life Straw. And it comes with a strap that can be worn around your neck like a lanyard, like keys would be. The Life Straw is an emergency filtration system that you can carry with you anywhere, and you can drink any kind of water through this, and it will come out clear. It clears 99.9% of all microbes out of filthy water. Doesn't look like much on the end, just a little bit of screen. You'd put that in the dirty water, put your mouth there, and you suck, and you would suck it through. And by the time it gets all the way through to the other end, you're getting the good clean water. This is my absolute emergency filtration system if everything hits the fan and I didn't have any other choices for water at the time. I also have a Berkey. I have a small Berkey system. There's the big Berkey and all these other things. I have the travel Berkey. The travel Berkey holds 1.5 gallons of water, which is enough for me on a daily basis. So I can fill up that top part and it filters through to the bottom. And I'm sure there's lots of videos out there of ways that you can make your own bootleg Berkey system or whatever. But, getting the actual, stainless steel uh, system is not the big deal. What's important is the filtering part. So you'd either have to have those expensive filters that are on the inside. I'm sorry, Berkey. They are a little bit on the spendy side. But the Berkey filters out 99.9% of all microbes. So I'm very happy to have it. And I've been loving it, and I like to taste the water now. When I first moved here 30 years ago, tasted the water. Wow, it tasted like Mississippi. And although I'm close to the Mississippi, I don't want my water to taste like Mississippi. I like my water to taste clear, clean, like nothing. So this was an important step for me in that process. I had tried other things that you hook onto your faucet, or the special pitcher that you put in the refrigerator. You have to keep sticking the little filter in, and then you have to count and remember, like, how many days has this been in? But with the Berkey, it's I can use it with the filters that are in there up to 3,000 times, um, and then have to change that out. The life straw, it's not going to be a 3,000 time deal. But one of the things I like about the life straw is that when you purchase the life straw, a portion of the money that was used to purchase this goes to helping people in other countries that are living and dealing with unsanitary water conditions. So that was a big plus for me, and that's part of the reason why I got that. And I don't know if you noticed on your end, but on my end, something freaky happened with the power a minute ago, and it was just like, oh, but we're back on, and everything's fine. And it just happened again, so I don't know. That's why we got to be prepared. I'll just go over one more thing for now. And after experiencing what I did years ago and the power going out and me trying to figure out what I was going to eat and how I was going to eat, and I had a couple of eggs in the refrigerator and I put them in the stainless steel pan, and here I am with candles, lighting candles, trying to fry an egg over those candles. Oh, it was so ridiculous. It worked, but it was kind of ridiculous at the time. But now I have a single burner propane stove, and that's a part of my bug out bag. Because if something happened, I need to be able to eat. Maybe I can't go and do any major grilling. I do have a small Weber grill in my storage space, but given time and location wherever I am, I have to have some other plan. And this is nice enough that it fits pretty compact, and I'm not having to carry around a bunch of charcoal with me. Although I would need to have some propane. And I think for right now, I don't think I have any right now. But those are a few things that I think are important to have um, for times like this, because we don't know what's going on or what's going to happen. I mean, like I said, power just went out twice while I was making this video, which is like kind of bizarre, but it just kind of happened. Um, and then everything kind of reset, and I just kind of kept going. But you might not even notice it on your end. But given that the power's gone out a mile away from me twice in a period of about 7 days, it's that much more important for me to be prepared, because if you're prepared, you don't really have to be scared. You might get excited, but you can have a plan in place. Know what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. Um, I don't know if you've ever been out in the woods. When I was a little girl, we were out in the woods. I stayed with my grandparents half the year. And they would just tell you to be home before the sun hits the top of the trees, because you didn't get a watch back then. It was not an option. When the sun hit the top of the trees, you had to be home. You might think, why? What's the big deal? Oh, it's just the woods. There are alligators that would come out the swamp, and there were bull snakes, and there were foxes, and in some portions of the woods there were some types of bears and things. So there was a variety of stuff that happened, and if I was with my grandparents, or if I was at another relative's out there in the woods, I might experience something different. But if you're not in before it's dark, the doors close and locked. because somehow bears are pretty crafty and they can open that door. So they would lock the screen door and they would lock the regular door. And the reality is that in the woods, when it's dark, it is dark, dark. You cannot see anything. There are no street lights in the woods. There's no traffic lights in the woods. You're at Route 3, Box 401. That's way out on the main road. But if you have to go all the way through the trees and everything to get to that little house in the woods, the only light that you have is the moon and the stars. You won't be able to see your hand in front of your face. When it's dark, it is dark. Which is what I mean. My grandparents they used oil lanterns. You're supposed to already be in. They close and lock those doors. They light that oil lantern, and you have a certain amount of time before you have to go to bed. Because the next morning, when the rooster is crowing in the morning, then you need to be up and ready to get busy. Work while it's day, and we are in before the sun gets below the trees. So, those are just a few things I wanted to share with you about the importance of being prepared for power outages, for civil unrest, um, having a bug out bag, and having some things in it. I used to carry like bottles of water and all of that sort of stuff, but now it's like I've got the life straw, and I might put an empty water bottle in here, or if I'm about to run out the door, I can grab one of my filtered bottles of water that I already have in the fridge and just stick it in here and carry it with me. But I also want to make sure that I carry dishes for my cat to eat out of, and maybe some nuts or cranberries or craisins or some dehydrated root vegetables or something for myself because that's something that can sustain me and keep me going and moving forward. So those are a few things that I do for myself just on the day to day, just to be prepared for whatever's coming up. And if you'd like, tomorrow I will be back on talking about some more food recalls because there's a lot of stuff going on in our food that we're eating. I haven't had any more information about any more earring backs in any flour or any more stones or anything in any of the food. Um, but I have heard from some people that they have gone to restaurants to eat and they start to eat their macaroni and cheese and there's nuts and bolts, just bizarre stuff in there. And of course, we know about the numerous restaurants that have rodents in them right now. So, just a lot going on in our world, which is why it's important to prepare our own food, know how to properly store our own food. So, even if a little mouse or a squirrel or whatever gets in your home, that they can't get to your food. So, I look forward to talking to you more about that later. Thank you for joining me today. And remember to be aware, be aware and stay prepared because times are changing fast. Not only the gas prices going up, times are changing. And we appear to be on the edge of joining that conflict that's happening. So tell those that you love them every day. Um, have a little patience or kindness for other people that may come across negatively right now because maybe they're having a hard time dealing with emotions based on everything that's on the news, which is why I really can't watch a whole lot of that because it's it's hard for me to watch the news. I'd rather take my news from what I'm living and what I'm seeing myself because there have been times when the stories presented have been kind of questionable. When you can watch 20 different newscasts, and if you line up what's being said, they're saying the exact same thing at the exact same time in the same way. And it's maybe it is a coincidence, but it has happened before. But I digress. I won't go into all of that. Thank you again for joining, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.